I will always talk about how I wanted to go see Civil War, and I was unable to see Civil War because it was a sold out movie theater. So I had to settle for X-Men Apocalypse instead.
Oh,
It's like it's not the greatest compromise.
that's funny. Those came out at the same time
Yeah,
or
they
around
came
the same
out at the
time.
same time in the same month. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
yeah. Guess
Why
how
would they
many
do that?
people were in the Apocalypse theater? Not as many as the one for Civil War.
That's awesome.
Hello and welcome to the Nerdy Wearing Ace show, where we all know that in this duo, I am Michael Knight and Billy is Kit. We are your hosts. I am Robert.
I'm Billy. I don't know I don't understand the joke.
Oh shoot.
That's okay. Explain it,
So
because
there's a
jokes
TV
always
show.
get more funny when you explain them.
Yeah, so there's a TV show back in the 1980s called Knight Rider,
Oh, I've heard of it.
where this guy called Michael, I forget what his original name was, but this guy Michael, he was a cop and he got shot in the face by I think a mobster, I think, and he left him for dead. And some guys picked him up and he got transported and got his face literally replaced by David Hasselhoff's face, which is
Okay.
actually David Hasselhoff, the actor.
Yeah.
But they change his identity to become Michael Knight, and he gets to be this crime fighter for the Foundation of Law and Government, or FLAG. And he gets this super powered car called Kit, who is able to talk to him. He has an artificial intelligence, and he has all kinds of cool gadgets and stuff. It was a show that I really liked back in when I was younger. I don't think a lot of people know about it now, but I associate myself with Michael Knight, the handsome crime fighter, and you as
I was
uh,
wondering where you're going with this.
you as the know-it-all car.
Am I really the know-it-all?
You know more about physics than me.
uh, I guess. I mean, you have the same level of education I do, technically at this point.
That's true.
So
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
Why
thought
are
it
you
was a good joke.
the Lux? Why are you the Lux?
I mean, come on. Is there really any argument?
Exactly. No, I'm kidding. Uh, oh, that's funny. So, also, one of our friends mentioned that he would give me and Rob the same quiz, Jeopardy style,
Mhm.
and that would be fun.
Well,
Maybe
I
we could.
totally smoke you,
You
clearly,
probably
because
would.
I know more apparently than you do.
You just said that you were more like Michael Knight, so I don't know. That would imply that I would get it. I don't know. We'd have to somehow. I don't know. I'm not sure how we do it.
I think what's so unfair about it is that our friends thought the questions were unfair, which I think is totally BS. Like, I think that it was totally fair questions based on the level of difficulty that the questions that you gave me were. Yeah, you didn't make the questions up yourself, but I still had to, answer the questions,
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it's hard to make the questions you made for me because there's no topic set. It to judge like trivia like that. It's very hard to judge like actually how difficult a trivia question is. I think
Right.
there's no accurate judgment scale because trivia is trivia. It's either you know what the answer is or you've never heard of it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, would you have actually gotten the answers correct for those questions if you were presented those questions? I know you're a big Big Theory fan, but I don't know
Oh, the
how
Big Bang
much of
Theory
you.
ones.
Yeah.
Um, I would definitely would have gotten all of them. Like I wouldn't have gotten as many as you did, but I think I would have gotten over half.
Yeah, I think you would have gotten a couple of them.
Yeah, yeah, not as well as you, but I don't think I would have done as bad as I did on the quiz I did do.
Mm.
So,
I think I'm the benchmark now for any kind of quizzes we take. It's like you have to go up onto my level.
but but you got a perfect score,
I didn't get a perfect score.
didn't you? Oh,
No,
you
I
did get a
got
few
two
wrong.
questions wrong.
You did, that's right. But you also corrected a few of the answers in the quiz.
Yeah, which
So,
is this shows my expertise is so vast.
so like, that's a tough bar to reach. That's like saying Einstein sets the bar for a physicist.
I mean,
Everyone's kind of
kinda.
well, I mean, he sets like the upper scale, or not like the upper scale. I feel like he sets the goal, not like the bar. You know,
Yeah.
he's like the thing to strive for. But if he's the bar, then almost every other physicist falls short.
I don't think so. I mean, every Nobel Prize physicist at least makes a really groundbreaking discovery that does revolutionize the field of physics. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, Albert Einstein is like the definitive popular culture version of genius, but like, I have been thinking about this. Like, was his contribution so amazing that it was so impactful that everybody now is synonymizing him with genius? Because there's so many great discoveries by so many scientists out there
yeah.
that like,
I think what made him different is that his um. So ironically, the theory he gets a Nobel Prize for isn't like his most famous theory, which
right.
was general relativity. But
Mhm,
apparently, there's like politics in it where technically it wasn't proven yet. It was
mhm,
very well possible. Like they were like, it's a good probability or good chance that it's right, but we just don't have the way to actually test it right now. So they
right.
gave it to him for something else.
Mhm,
And I think what made his different is his theory, or yeah, so his theories for the most part come from thought experiments where he um, figured it out from scratch in a sense, where there wasn't like contradicting, there wasn't something contradicting, which made people go, oh, let's test it more in experiments. And then when they got a bunch
mhm,
more data, then they came up with the theory, which is how physics is usually done, I think. Where like like in lab, you go, you do an experiment, you see the results, and then you try to make a theory to fit the results. He kind
mhm,
of made the theory without having any results, which I think is why his was synonymous with genius because he did it himself in a way.
mhm,
And I do think general relativity um, was that groundbreaking only because it revolutionized the way we think about time and space and gravity,
mhm,
which haven't been touched since Newton. And
right.
then also he ended up being one of the founding members of quantum mechanics, which we know what happened with that. He kind of led to he did some stuff that led to the discovery of entanglement.
Mhm,
He did some stuff that led to the discovery of Einstein-Rosen bridges, which are wormholes. He figured out the photoelectric effect, which was puzzling people for a long time, which is what he won the Nobel Prize for.
mhm.
He came up with an
Brownian motion.
experiment. What?
Brownian motion.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that one, where he came up with stuff. He came up with an experiment that proved atoms existed, which was using Brownian motion.
Mhm,
And um, he came up with special relativity, which was the precursor to general relativity,
yeah,
where he came up with uh, relativistic time, relativistic lengths in space, and also his E=mc² energy mass relation.
mhm.
That was a mouthful.
He made a lot of stuff happen.
Yeah, he made a lot of stuff happen, and a lot of no, I'm not gonna say the ones towards the end, last three, I think I said towards the end, all came out in like a year.
Yeah.
Einstein's golden year, and it was
Mhm,
when he wasn't even at working as a physicist. He was a patent clerk.
yeah.
And just revolutionizes physics
Mhm,
in his spare time. So I didn't come up with the theory. My friend Cam, I'm gonna credit him with it. I'm not sure if he came up with it or heard it. I'm gonna credit it to him because I heard it from him. And I'm pointing to you. I just realized my friend Cam, another person,
yeah.
and it's interesting and it makes sense on one hand, but like on the other hand, it's like okay, how would that work?
Mhm.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So why don't we just get into the first word,
Oh dang
Billy?
it! It's not the deep dive. It's the first word.
No, we're not there.
Not
We
there
actually
yet.
haven't done a deep dive on anything in the Loki series. It's been kind of clear, cut, and dry as of this point. So,
That's true.
um,
Touche.
but the first word, do you want me to go first, Billy, since you went the last time?
Yeah, of course. Go first. I'd be happy to hear what you have to say because I think we're gonna have differences of opinion for this episode.
A little bit. I mean, like, so my first word is that I think that this episode was not like the first two episodes, but I will say that it wasn't like bad. It was okay. And I've heard some people describe it as like a filler episode. It's a filler episode, you know? They stay on one planet for a very long period of time and they kind of get more character development, both with Sylvie and with Loki. And I think that that was the point of this episode. There wasn't going to be any kind of fast paced action going from one place to another place like they did in the last couple episodes. It's just we're going to see how these characters kind of interact and deal with the circumstances that they're in now that they don't have a way to get back to wherever they want to go to. They had to figure out working together to, get off the planet they're on. Um, it was funny. It was action packed with some parts. I just didn't feel excited. There wasn't any Easter eggs that I was like, ooh, there wasn't any part that I was like shocked by or intrigued by. And when I kept on watching to see how long the episode was going to like last until the credits came around, I was kind of surprised that they left it on a cliffhanger because like I feel it's obvious that they're not going to like die midway through this series.
Mhm.
They're not going to be on the planet when the planet gets collided with the moon. So I don't think that it should have left on a cliffhanger, in my opinion. I feel like it was like, ooh, what's going to happen? Like, obviously, like WandaVision, when she expanded out the entire bubble, that's where it's like, ooh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But with Loki, like, we know he's going to escape. There's 3 more episodes left. You can't just go like, okay, we're going to have the next 3 episodes be about Lamentis. Like, that would be so boring as a series. So that's how I felt about the episode. It's just that it was kind of like, a transition period from the first 2 to the last 3, I think.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that for sure that they're both gonna make it off?
See, like we just got introduced to Sylvie as a character in the last episode before this, and I don't think that she's gonna get killed off in the 4th episode. Like I feel like there's gonna be some purpose as to what she's doing because we don't know what she's trying to do. We don't know what her purpose is. We don't know what her endpoint is going to be. As well with Loki. So I feel like they're not just gonna kill her off like right there. Like that's kind of a waste of a character, in my opinion.
I agree with that. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I agree. That I think that they probably both will make it off,
Mhm.
and I think the cliffhanger is more to be like, oh, how are they gonna get off? Not
Right.
necessarily if they're gonna get off, but how.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure how they will. We'll find
Yeah.
out. But
Mhm.
so my first word, I guess, to go into me or to go on to me is is yeah, it was a more informative episode than action packed and mystery. It goes more we're learning from it and not questioning and anticipating.
Mhm.
And I think that's all I have to say. Very short.
See, that's how you could tell that this episode wasn't as eventful because like your first word was like less than 30 seconds.
It was, yeah, that's true. I think that's my first word, less than 30 seconds.
Yeah, because you've had a little bit more to build off of me, but now it's kind of like, oh well, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
I liked the episode still.
Yeah, I did too. I'm not going to say it's a bad episode. I'm just going to say it wasn't like the other 2 episodes and maybe the last 3 episodes that we're going to see. It's a filler episode that kind of transitions us from the TVA and the storyline from there to being with Loki and Sylvie to see what happens with the TVA and what happens with, all these characters towards the end. It's kind of like I'm not going to say it's the climax of the story arc, but it's approaching there. We're going to get to a climax and then kind of go to the following action. The rising action was when we met Sylvie and when they went to the planet, but we're not at the climax as of yet, I think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think we're still somewhere in that rise.
Hmm. So now we can go into the deep dive. Now we can do the deep dive.
We got to time it.
in
Okay.
which in which we're going to be talking more. I think this format where we're just going to talk more about the main points that we liked in the episode rather than just going through the whole episode as a whole, because like we don't need to go through every detail. But I think the things that really resonate with us, I think, are the ones that we want to highlight the most and get our opinions on.
Yeah, I think there's only like one or two things that I want to mention.
Well, why don't you go first then, Billy, if there's so
Oh,
very few things that you want to talk about.
okay. I guess I'm going to go at the big one then.
Okay.
We learn that the TVA are actually variants, but they don't know they're variants. That's
Mm-hmm.
like the main thing that we learn in this episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because we go through, I think in the previous episode that me and you talk about, and also the previous episode in the series,
Mm-hmm.
there's this dialogue between Morbius and Loki where they're both talking about like their not necessarily upbringing, but like Loki's from Asgard and he's adopted and like his parents are God and he's kind of like a god. And
Mm-hmm.
then they talk about Morbius, who's created by these space lizards, the timekeepers, and
Yeah.
it's like both are kind of outlandish in a sense. Um, where one they're created from on Mobius's hand, he's created from the timekeepers, and Loki's hand, he's like a god, but he's adopted, and it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
My armrest just shifted, but now we learn that he's not created. Mobius was not created by the timekeepers. He's actually a variant from some timeline that the timekeepers did something to make him comply and work with them.
Mm-hmm.
That I thought was really interesting. And I have no clue what's going to happen from that because I feel like once the lid gets blown on that, like, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Right. Um, so I think it made sense when I first heard it because I was like, oh, Mobius really is into jet skis and really into stuff from the 80s and 90s and stuff.
Mhm.
I was like, huh, that actually makes sense. So he must have been plucked out of there
Yeah.
and brought in to be working for the TVA. And they're all brainwashed because they're like, Mobius loves jet skis, but he doesn't understand really why he likes jet skis. He just likes, that time period or whatever. Kind of like, anybody who's a collector or anything like that likes the time period at which they're collecting from.
Mm.
But then we see when Sylvie is trying to get the information of the timekeepers from that one agent, she's like in this restaurant where she's having some alcoholic drink. And she's like, I remember love these. And it's like, I remember this restaurant, but where is this from? And the agent's trying to figure out what's happening in her mind, trying to revert back. But then Sylvie's like, no, we have to go and try and get the location of the timekeepers and whatever. So there's still those personalities that are in those people. They're just being pushed down because of the TVA, the timekeepers. Like, I don't know who's really manipulating them because, like, the TVA, yes, is part of the timekeepers' mission to keep the sacred timeline going. But are the timekeepers really that like maybe they are that powerful, but are they that engrossed into every single agent that they want to keep them all brainwashed? They do probably have the power to do it, but like I'm curious as to like, is that really your mission? Is that your goal? Or do you really want to keep the sacred timeline like as one so that way there's no multiversal war again?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think this is your response to every single episode. It's like, what? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I don't know.
Isn't it interesting how magic doesn't work in the TVA? Maybe it's because like let's say for example, another thing, the Mind Stone was not in any of the stones that were there. And you know how the Mind Stone can be able to bring people back and revert them back and control people. If any of them interacted with the Mind Stone and all, that could have affected like them coming back and being like, why am I here? What's going on? What's happening? Like, why am I not on Earth? I
That's
just
not a
realized that
coincidence.
right now. Like, the Mind Stone's not there for a reason.
But would they work even if they were there?
No, but then you have to have a justification for why the other stones don't work,
Yeah.
So, because like, remember
This is
how I
gonna be
originally
so.
thought that like the
Ooh,
like, Vision would always have the Mind Stone, and then Thanos would always have the Mind Stone, but then like the Mind Stone was never there, not because of Vision always needing to have the Mind Stone, but because if anybody interacted with the Mind Stone, even outside, let's say for example, someone took the Mind Stone and brought it to another timeline that's outside of the TVA that actually works in that timeline, and then they get
mhm.
like reverted back, and then like, what is happening? Why am I here?
Yeah, that
It's
wouldn't be
like,
good.
that's not good, because you don't want any rogue agents going out and trying to get us. That's why there's no Mind Stones there. Everything else is there.
Weird.
It's interesting.
That's crazy.
That makes sense a little bit now. I don't know if that was part of your theory, but like I just kind of realized that.
No, that's that's interesting.
No Mind Stones are allowed in the TVA for good reason.
Do you think that's how they're controlling them all? Do you think like the I can't think of their names. I
The
keep
timekeepers.
Yeah, thank you. Do you think the timekeepers just hoarded all of them, all the mind stones, and are using the mind stones?
Well, maybe there's some unofficial rule that says like, if you interact with, if you have a Mind Stone that you have to interact with, then like immediately bring it back. Like, because remember how all these other stones are kept in storage as evidence,
Yeah.
but not the Mind Stone. There must be a thing where it's like bring the Mind Stone back immediately because it needs to be brought back, for some unwritten rule or whatever. But maybe the reason actually why is because if you interact with the Mind Stone and bring it back to the timeline, then it's like, oh, maybe you go back to who you really were before you were brainwashed into being the TVA. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that will be explained because I don't think that was actually talked about in the Loki episode where we had all the Infinity Stones. It's like all the other Infinity Stones were there, but I noticed that only one was not there. But it was
Yeah.
never actually mentioned.
Interesting. It's getting good. I can't wait to see what happens.
hmm So what was the other part that you wanted to talk about that you thought was interesting?
Well, the second part was just the theory that I heard.
Okay, do you want to do it at the end, or you want me to just let you have it?
I feel like telling it now after we just discussed that could be an interesting development.
Mhm,
I don't think it's true, but I think it is interesting and it makes sense.
mhm.
Um, that the TVA is located in the quantum realm.
Yep.
You've heard
Wait, did
that
I
one, right?
send you the video?
You did not, I don't think, or at least I
I
didn't see
sent
it.
a TikTok, I think, to someone about that theory. I thought I sent it to you, where there's a TikTok where these two guys were talking about like, oh, remember that city in the quantum realm? That could be the TVA because the quantum realm does not operate in the normal standards of time, blah blah blah.
Hmm. Maybe I didn't notice it. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I think that's an interesting theory because it makes sense that why time doesn't work there in the
Yeah.
same way. Um, I'm not sure if it would be true because I don't know, it's an interesting theory.
Well, I mean, like yeah, like it makes sense because like the quantum realm having the city, having it be in the TVA, and we know that one of the members of the TV of the Timekeepers is Kang the Conqueror, who's going to be the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, basically. Um,
Interesting.
so there's that connection as well, which
I
makes
didn't hear
sense.
that, so that would
Yeah,
that would make even more sense.
yeah, it makes sense. But of course, it's unconfirmed. The whole theory has to hold on to the fact that the TVA is in the quantum realm. Like that's the whole basis on the theory. So until that is brought in as like an end credit scene to the whole series, then there's no confirmation of that.
Yeah.
Which I do think that is going to be an end credit scene. Let's say, for example, like the TVA gets figured out by the timekeepers or whatever, and we kind of do like a big shot out from the TVA because we don't actually see in like from where we're at in the TV, we can't see outside. So let's say, for example, they have an end credit scene where they like, expand out beyond what the TVA can see, and we see
Mm,
it's the city from the quantum realm, and then we go expand out more and more and more, and then it's actually in the quantum realm, and we're like, oh shit, that kind of thing.
yeah, I don't know. That'd be really cool. I think be
Yeah.
a be a big plot twist. Or
Mhm.
would have been if someone didn't come up with the theory. But so you think it's plausible?
It's possible. I mean, it makes sense, you know. But again, I'm going to stick away from any kind of theories because I've been screwed up one or too many times before with Marvel. So I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna do that. We're just gonna let it go. Like I have ideas, but I'm not gonna let them go out there because you know what? I've been burned too many times.
Oh, that's funny. I guess that well, so like the one thing about that theory that I wasn't sure about is how would that explain why magic doesn't work or the stones don't work. And I guess it
Mhm.
could just be that physics doesn't work the same down there, like in the quantum realm, as it does up here, and that
Mhm.
applies to magic as well as science.
We'll also remember that the stones don't work in the in another timeline, for example. And I think the quantum realm kind of converges all these different times and universes into different places and everything. So I think they wouldn't work down there because of that reasoning. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. And also, how would the quantum realm also operates outside of time, which we've heard, but like, so the quantum realm is the connection between all timelines as well? Is what that would mean?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's why I think where Quantum Mania is going to happen, where it's like King the Conqueror. If he was part of the Timekeepers and the TVA, and if it's in the quantum realm, then like having all these multiverses go out with whatever's going to happen with Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2, like what's going to happen with all these multiverses, and is the quantum realm going to affect how those multiverses can kind of come back? Because that was the solution in Avengers Endgame. Can that be the solution again in this whole experience, you know?
Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is better than mine. So,
We don't know yet. We haven't even gotten a full-fledged movie for Phase 4 yet, so we have no clue as to the future of what Marvel is. We're just kind of getting the little droplets. You know, once we get more movies and TV shows, we can get much more of like a cup, and then we're gonna get a gallon, and then we're gonna get like a dump truck.
and then we'll see the whole thing.
And then we'll all be unraveled as to what was really going on.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait because I feel like we're gonna look back at it and be like, "Oh, we didn't notice that."
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Oh, so cool.
Yeah. So let's see, where do I want to start? Let's start with the fact that the judge was about to just wipe out both variants, even though Mobius wanted to use him to try and get rid of the variants. She was just ready to just wipe them out. And even though Sylvie was threatening to like slice Loki's neck off, basically, she was like, I don't care, go and kill him if you want to. I don't care, I want to kill both of you. I'm like, wow, you have no remorse.
Do you think it's because she's being controlled, or
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because like there's this, it's kind of a weird thing for me. Like, if the TVA is controlled by the timekeepers and the people who are in the TVA are controlled, brainwashed, whatever, the TVA is kind of like the immune system to the virus that is Sylvie and Loki. Like they're trying to eliminate them as much as possible. And the TVA and the timeline and whatever, that's all being controlled by the master body that is like, let's say for us humans, we are the timekeepers. And our immune system is the TVA. And like Loki and Sylvie are these little pests that are like trying to get in and they're trying to eliminate them as much as possible. That's how I imagine it. Like it's kind of like getting a switch turned on, in
Mhm.
my opinion. You know, it's kind of like I feel like there's a science fiction movie or TV show that I've seen where like there's some imposter or some person that's trying to infiltrate into a system and like all these like it's like the Borg. You haven't seen Star Trek, but in the Star Trek, there's this like cybernetic race of beings called the Borg, in which they assimilate and take over civilizations and adapt them into their civilization of robotic cybernetic beings.
Okay.
And any kind of infiltration and damage and corruption to their system, they like have their drones go out to the invaders basically and try and kill them. It's kind of the same thing that I thought
Okay.
about with this, where it's like the TVA has this emergency where everybody's trying to go and fix the sacred timeline that the timekeepers have created, because they have this belief that that is their duty as members of the TVA, that we have to keep the sacred timeline there for the timekeepers, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's the same analogy to what like the judge is trying to do. Like, I don't give a damn who you two are. I don't care what you're wanting to do, what your plan is, and what your plan is. I'm going to kill you both. So that way the sacred timeline is going to be kept easy. And it's like, huh. So you're just like not caring about anything that happens with you. It just cares about like what the timeline is, you know? And it's
Yeah.
getting into this kind of mob belief of like the sacred timeline is super sacred. So we must keep it close to our chest, make
Hmm.
sure that it's never going to be faulted. It's like, meh.
I see.
Also, do you think that the behind the door was the timekeepers? Like, do you think the timekeepers really are behind that door where those two guards were?
No, it's funny. I thought it was an elevator, and they were gonna have to take like an elevator somewhere.
Mhm. I don't
Um,
know.
I don't know. It reminded me of the way the elevator that Loki and Mobius took at the beginning kind of looked.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe because they showed like the random buttons, like the weird buttons in the first episode. I thought
Hmm.
maybe like there's like a code or something like you had to press them in a certain order,
Hmm.
and it would take you there.
Or it's like a special elevator that can go straight up to where the timekeepers are. Because like, remember how like I would think like there's some like the regular elevators that everybody can be able to take, but then there's like this super secret special elevator that can take you straight up to the timekeepers.
Yeah. Do you think any of them have actually seen the timekeepers?
I think the judge has. I think the judge keeps in contact with the timekeepers, so I think
Mhm.
that she's seen them. But I don't think Mobius has said that he's never seen the timekeepers. So
Yeah.
I think it has to be the higher ups in the TVA that gets to see the timekeepers.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought of.
What?
Do you know Cthulhu?
I do not know.
So it's an H.P. Lovecraftian being as this like squid slash dragon slash humanoid huge creature in Lovecraftian science fiction.
Okay.
And it's said that no mortal mind can be able to perceive Cthulhu and be able to live, because like just seeing what Cthulhu looks like just like blows your mind,
I've heard,
basically.
I've heard something like that before.
Yeah, they have variations
Okay.
of it, like with like Bird Box, the movie Bird Box with Sandra Bullock, where like if you see the aliens, the interdimensional beings or whatever that like invading the earth, like you kill yourself. That kind of same thing. I feel like regular, agents of the TVA aren't allowed to interact with the timekeepers, because maybe their presence, because remember their presence is so big and they're such powerful beings that maybe just perceiving them is just gonna blow your minds.
I see.
I don't know. Obviously, I may be wrong. That's just like the kind of thing that I'm thinking about. It's like, huh, I
Mhm.
wonder why Mobius hasn't seen it. If he's really part of the TVA, if he works for them, like why hasn't he seen what they look like? Why hasn't he seen them? If he's such an
I see.
important figure in the TVA, like why is he not? You know?
That's a good point. Yeah, and like the ones who do go to see them are like from Asgard or something, where they're more,
Yeah.
right? Something like that.
Like when Thor said to Star Lord, like, I'm gonna get a Thanos killing weapon. It's like, shouldn't we all have that? It's like, no, your minds will crumble at the existence of such a weapon. It's like same thing with the timekeepers. Your minds will explode at our perception of our being.
uh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok about Cthulhu, so I wanted to be able to like
I'll
bring
explain
that
it.
up. I want to read about Cthulhu now, because I kind of find it to be awesome. I want to send you some pictures of what Cthulhu looks like, because the artwork that some people have drawn is just freaking amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, send it my way. Um,
Not later.
no, not now. I just noticed though, thinking about it, all the TVA are look human.
right,
whether or not they're actually human, or like they're from Asgard or something. There's no
yeah,
like alien looking thing,
right.
which is interesting.
Maybe it's because that like mortal minds like humans are so malleable and so easily able to be controlled that like they are easy to just pluck out and like take them.
I I feel, but I get that, but you would think that at some point there'd be some variant in some planet that's only populated by this type of being,
Mm,
and they would need someone of that race to go there because they couldn't send a human-looking thing because it would be too out of place,
mm,
right? I don't know.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing with this series is that we have seen almost, yeah, actually every single time we've gone to like a planet or a timeline or somewhere, it's all humans. Even the people on Lamentis one are all humans,
Yeah,
humanoid.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe
There's no
because
like, there's no like, what's the blue people called? Um,
Avatar.
no,
I'm
uh,
just kidding.
people like Yondu. Like, there's no people like Yondu or any of the aliens from like Guardians of the Galaxy. They're all just like humanoid human beings.
Yeah, humans have free will, I guess.
Maybe they do. I mean, there is the question of free will in this. Like,
I don't know.
really, it's just a long ride of me just talking and explaining stuff.
Yeah, I mean this one I'm kind of at a loss with this one. So
You're just like, what?
yeah, I mean like there's like so many possibilities that it's like
I don't know.
yeah.
uh,
What's the other things that you wanted to mention though?
let's see. They go to the planet. I thought. If I'm being honest, I thought that the planet that they were going to be on was actually going to be Earth. That the moon was somehow, some way, was going to like come onto the Earth. Because I
I s-
thought, because all the scenes we have seen in the trailers and everything happened on the Earth. I
that's
didn't
true.
think of it being on another planet in another time period. So, um,
Yeah, we haven't even seen like where he looks like he's running for an election or something like that yet.
yeah, exactly. I very much liked the one thing I really did like about this episode was the visuals. The visuals on this episode were just outstanding, I think. Like the one that really got me was like the two of them walking along like the railroad towards the city. And like there's the two cliffs, and then you have just this huge giant like orb coming down to the planet that is the
Mhm.
moon. I was like, I love these shots, these kind of shots. Same thing with like in Rogue One when like the Death Star was coming up out of the horizon. That shot. Just love that shot.
Very cinematic.
Yeah. So it's the same thing with this episode. It's like I just like this kind of realistic version of how this giant orb is just gonna crash into this planet. And I'm like, I like it.
uh yeah, I mean the blah 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 blah. The cinematography was very very impressive. This one, it made it
Hmm.
look very realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like Doctor Strange animation where it's like animation, Doctor Strange esque where it's like all like weird warps and stuff. This one is like designed to look normal, real, and they did a good job.
Hmm. Let's see. They go on the planets. I thought the scene that like they interacted with the woman and she like shot Sylvie and then Loki was like, "Oh, I got you," and he has like the picture of the guy and he's like, "Hi, dear. Like I missed you," and she goes, "Poof, he's never been that nice to me in 30 years."
That was so funny. I was like, I wonder if the plan's gonna work. He gets hit and he goes flying back. I'm like, nope.
And
uh,
also, I was like, "Hey, Loki's gonna show up Sylvie as being the superior Loki," and he did for a little bit,
mhm.
but then didn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know.
And then she tried to do the enchantment on him, but his mind was too strong, so it wouldn't work on him. But I thought like when she was saying that like Loki, like she couldn't do the enchantment on Loki because like she can do it on other people because like they're weaker minds, but he's a stronger mind. She had to like interact with him for longer. I thought maybe like the whole thing of them being on the train and on the planet and everything else was kind of a ruse. I thought I was like maybe she's doing it right now.
I thought so too. I was like, when she said that, I was like, something's gonna happen, and we found out this whole thing was fake, and then it
Right.
didn't happen.
But it wasn't. It's actually true. So, but maybe it's not. I don't know. That's always the cliffhanger.
Yeah. I have one question that you just
Yeah.
reminded me of.
Mhm.
When the building's falling and Loki goes like, "Roo," and it goes back up,
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had that ability.
Yeah, I
I didn't
know. And
realize
a
he
lot
was
of
that
people did
powerful.
notice that. I've seen people go like, he has that ability. It's like, yeah, apparently he does. I mean, like he has a lot of magic that we didn't know. Like he can do fireworks from his hands. So like
Yeah,
it's not unheard of that he's gonna do other things that we just haven't seen before
he
because
has
we've
the
only
force.
seen so limited of his abilities that it's just been repetitive every single time, that
Yeah.
we've seen Loki in a movie or anything.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, I was kind of surprised. I was like, huh, that's a cool thing. Kind of
Yeah.
like Doctor Strange-esque, where it's like just, but it seemed like like I almost thought that he reversed time a little bit. I'm like, wait, can he do that? And
It
it's like,
did
no,
kind
he
of
just
seem like
brought the
that.
building back up. But I was just, for a quick second, I was like, did he just reverse time and everything just went back to normal? But because it looked like that, it looked like it just reversed back.
It did. I agree.
But no.
Okay, continue. I interrupted.
So let's see. They're on the train. What do you think about the train scene? The whole train scene where they're talking to each other and trying to figure each other out.
It was just interesting to hear the contrasting stories between the two.
Hmm.
I think. Um, I want to let you take it though to hear what you say about it first.
Hmm.
So, what did you think about the dialogue between the two of them?
I thought it was interesting. Like, I didn't think they were going to be the exact same Loki. I didn't think they were going to be the same kind of person. Um, when they discussed love, I thought it was really interesting. Like, they're going to go super deep into this. And, like, she's like, I don't have much of love. And then Loki's like, I've had a few people, a few guys, a few girls, but, like, nothing really serious. And it's like, well, maybe it's because, like, you've never let anything be serious in your life and stuff. And it's like I thought that really was a very interesting opening discussion, which is kind of weird because like only like 30 minutes ago we were seeing they were trying to kill each other and now they're trying to have a heart to heart. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. Like I don't know if it's because of the impending doom and death and just having them try and survive with each other that's making them do this, but I thought it was kind of interesting, especially since like maybe it's because he was drinking as well.
That's true. Well, he did it before they started drinking, didn't he?
Well, I think he was drinking during this time.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. It kind of reminded me of Interstellar. Now that you talk about it,
Mm.
it's like you talk about how love is the only thing that is strong enough to like um, travel across times and stuff like that. That was
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
yep.
you definitely liked the scene where like Loki is like at the bar drinking and then he's like another.
All I can think of was Thor.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he did the thing.
That's an Asgard thing.
Clearly.
That's funny. Yeah, what do you think of how they interacted though? Because first they really seemed to get along. Like,
Mhm.
do you think they can trust each other? Can
I
can
feel like
Loki
they have
trust
to at this
Sylvie?
point.
But I mean, like fully trust. Like they can trust right now in the short term because their goal is they need to get off. They need
Mhm.
both of them. But once they leave, do you think they're gonna have that type of relationship still?
No, I think they're going to go back into their own selfish ways, and I think that's what Loki is. Like, I think Loki is going to change a little bit, but Sylvie, I think, is going to be so hard pressed because remember, this plan has been like in process for years.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's going to try and stray away because she wants to get off this planet so that way she can do whatever she wants to do.
Mhm.
You know,
Which I still wonder what it is.
because she doesn't want to take over the TVA. She doesn't want to kill the timekeepers or whatever. She doesn't want to take them over and rule. I don't know what her plan is, and
She just
we
wants to meet
don't
them, I guess.
say hi.
It's kind of what Loki
Big
wants to
fan.
do. Well, plus overthrowing them.
Yeah.
But
Um, I thought like the really interesting thing was that like when Loki and Sylvie got thrown off the train, like Sylvie yelled, and I thought she was going to do this huge thing, but she was like, Pew! I was like, what was that?
yeah,
She yelled, and it was like, Pew! And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I thought you were going to do a little bit more. I
but
thought maybe your magic was going to do a little more, but okay.
mm, Well, she also said she didn't have a teacher. She just figured out how to do like that one trick that it seems like she knows
Yeah,
herself. Like Loki has like training and stuff, so it's a little
right.
bit different.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, he knew his mom for a long time and she trained him to do magic, whereas like Sylvie never met her mother, so she wasn't able to do magic.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. Also, like so now we're at the end where like they're at the city, right? And they're trying to get on. I don't know why they don't just blow past everybody if they're such good skilled fighters and everything, where they can't just like blow past everybody and everything,
Hmm. I don't know.
Um,
Maybe they figured, well, because they're not necessarily that great of fighters, because they do get thrown off the train. If they were that good, they wouldn't have got thrown off the train, right?
well, I think that was because of Loki's like
Drunkenness.
drunkenness and also like not thinking clearly. Like he knocked the guy off, but then he's kind of like fooling around with him, being like, I'm superior, and then all of a sudden he gets like thrown off. So like I don't think he's really paying attention to that.
That's true.
But I think the two of them combined really kind of works well in making them a good team to fight off the soldiers. Because again, the soldiers are not very like super powerful. They're creating magic.
Hmm. That's true. I don't know.
Um,
Maybe they figured it'd be faster to just go around it than fight through.
hmm.
I don't know.
But I thought what was really interesting is that like they didn't even get onto the ship. Like the ship
No.
got destroyed and they couldn't get on. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, I know.
Why?
It's interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um,
And I did feel like this whole episode taking place on Lamentis was really longer than it usually is. Like it felt longer, even though it was actually shorter than the other episodes. It felt longer because we were in the same place and doing the
oh, I
same thing
see.
at the same time. Blah blah blah. And now that we're at the finale of the episode, and it's like, oh, a little anticlimactic. Like I'm not gonna be like, how's he gonna get it off? I'm kind of like, oh, well, now we have to get more on Lamentis the next episode.
That's interesting because I'm like, I was kind of like, how are they gonna get off now? Um, because now they have to get off. They have to get one of those time devices.
Mhm. Well, I think can't Loki just repair it with magic?
I thought didn't he have like it in his hand and he's like, can't we just fix it? Or he held it like this and then it just like crumbled under him and they
Yeah,
left it there.
but I feel like he can conjure up a lot of weapons and everything. Why can't he just conjure up another time pad? Like
Maybe because he doesn't know exactly what it is
maybe.
and how it works. Because he wanted to charge it with one of the neon lights.
Yeah.
So he doesn't seem to know exactly what this thing is. So maybe
Hmm.
he actually needs to know what it is before he can.
Well, he knows what it is because remember he had training. He knows how like the time pad works and everything. Obviously, he doesn't know like probably like the intricacies of the electrical work and everything. But like,
Mm.
I don't think you need to know the intricacies of how to make a knife in order to conjure a knife from magic.
I don't know. Well, the like if you conjure one of those, that's just like one piece, right? The other one, it's like intricate pieces that work together and fit together. Maybe it's just too much for him.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I don't
if you can dry yourself off and move all these water molecules off of your body, shouldn't you be able to
know.
do that with a time pad? Just, I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe
I
it's
guess
because of
not.
just how the story has to work through. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't even think of it because he was too drunk.
Maybe.
um, that's a good point though. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to talk about? I don't think so. Again, this was not a really big, exciting episode that I was like, like I wasn't really like, you know, engaged that much with this episode. I wasn't like, excited with it. It was pretty cut and dry with like going from end to beginning to end, that kind of thing.
I agree. It followed like there's no like the biggest plot point was learning that the TVA is are variants,
Hmm.
and like other than that, it was kind of like everything happened in like a logical way where like you kind of could it made sense. There wasn't like, oh my god, what kind of thing.
um, do you think that's do you think that he's gonna tell Mobius that he's actually like a variant?
I hope one of the post-credit scenes is Mobius on a jet ski.
The jet ski has to
Deserves
come
that
back
jet ski.
somehow.
What?
The jet ski has to come back somehow.
Yeah. I hope. That's, I
It's
want
just him
that.
on a jet ski.
I want that
That's
for
the end credits
Mobius.
for like the last episode. It's like he's just him on a jet ski on Earth.
I want that for him. I want him to have a jet ski. That's it. Jet ski for Mobius. He deserves one. I hope Loki
That's
gets
like
him one.
that's like his bargaining chip to like meeting the timekeepers. Is like, okay, so I want Loki to go back to his normal timeline, and I want a jet ski.
Oh, that would be awesome.
It's like Raj in the Big Bang Theory. It's like
Oh my
him
god,
in
it is.
the ring.
Ah, that's so funny.
He
It
brings
so
his
is.
lawyer with him, and he's like, I want a jet ski. All your ideas are stupid, and I want a jet ski.
Exactly. Oh, that's so funny. That's 2 times you tried to pack. No, that's 3 times.
Yeah,
2 times? It's 2 or
I
3
think it's
times.
2 times. I think it's 2 times.
2 times? That's funny. That's funny.
So, do we have any final thoughts about the Loki episode 3 at all?
I just want to see how they get off the planet.
Yeah, they'll probably
And Mobius get a jet ski.
He deserves a jet ski.
He deserves a jet ski.
So we just had Loki episode 3, and later on in this week, we just had the Shang-Chi trailer drop.
We did.
The official first trailer, the first full trailer. Why don't you tell me what your thoughts were, and I'm going to go back into my soapbox after you're talking and talk about my little soapbox.
I mean, it looks interesting. I think we got more information from the first mini trailer that we had. Well,
Yeah.
that might just be because I had no clue what it was going to be on, and that was like my first piece of information for it.
Mhm.
It seems interesting. I don't feel more excited or less excited than I did after the first mini trailer. I don't think.
Mhm.
There's some scenes in it that I'm like, who's this person in there? Who's this person?
Yeah,
And I texted you about it, which we can talk about.
that's where my soapbox is going to be.
Yeah, I figured, so I'll leave that for you to take.
Yeah.
But it does seem like he's gonna be fighting his father at some point, which is interesting. Didn't see
Mhm.
that coming.
Yeah. I
I don't
believe
really
he's
have
gonna
much about it.
I believe he's gonna be fighting what's his name? I think it's White Claw, I think it is. White Claw is the villain, I think. It's the guy who is the white guy. We'll call him the white guy because he's kind of distinguished. He's the one
Huh.
that's on the train who has the sword and everything, and he's fighting Shang-Chi.
Oh, okay.
That's White Claw, I believe is his name. I could be wrong. But yeah, I think he's gonna be fighting his father because like his father's the Mandarin, and the Mandarin is the leader of the Ten Rings, and I think like he wants Shang-Chi to come back into this world, even though he was allowed to like leave the world of the Ten Rings, and now he has to fight against him to try and probably not only fight for himself, but fight for the people that he has come to know in this new life that he's brought in. So
Yeah.
but the soapbox I'm gonna get into is the scene that you're referring to is where they're in the cage match and there's this big hulking being that Shang-Chi has to fight. And people have said that it's abomination, and a lot of like news articles have said that it's abomination. And I said that as a possibility because it looked like abomination.
It did.
But I will say that like it looks like he has fins. Now I don't recall if he has fins on his back. He has fins on his ears, but I don't recall Abomination having fins on his back in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with the scene where Shang-Chi is underwater with the underwater dragon, I'm kind of like, Atlantis, Namor, the Submariner, maybe, because there's been rumors ever since we had like Iron Man 2, where we had that little thing on the map at the end where like it's in the middle of the ocean. That's Atlantis near Africa. We've had that reference. We had the reference of like the earthquake under the ocean from Avengers Endgame. Like there's been no direct references to having anything to do with Atlantis. There's rumors that Atlantis or Namor or somebody like that will appear in Black Panther 2, because they're going to discuss the origins of Wakanda and everything. But like, I feel like they're going to reference it at least once before that time, if it's going to be true for Black Panther 2. And I think this is where they're going to talk about it, because like if that's not Abomination, which I'm going to if I was a betting man, I would put it as Abomination. But let's say if it isn't, if it's actually like this fish creature, that the rest of society doesn't know about because it's an Atlantean, but only Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings know about. Same thing with like the underwater dragon. Like, how is it that humanity doesn't know about this underwater dragon? You know?
Yeah.
If Atlantis is there, I would put my money in putting it in this movie before we get to maybe Eternals or Black Panther 2, where they're really kind of introduce them more formally, Um,
Can I ask why you think that? Why do you think they would introduce it somewhere before they would put it in like another movie like Black Panther?
so I was talking to my friend and I referenced how Thanos was introduced at the end of Avengers. And then he appeared again in Guardians of the Galaxy, not as a big character, but as like a minor character that we've had like a little bit of screen time for. And then he appeared again in Avengers Age of Ultron at the end credits scene. Leads me to believe that Marvel kind of likes to put these little Easter eggs in every once in a while, of all these characters that they want to kind of bring into the MCU. They're not going to be big appearances. They could be a minor like cameo at the end of the end credits scene. They could be like Guardians of the Galaxy where Thanos appears for probably like less than 5 minutes of screen time. But they're going to put little Easter eggs in there for us to go like, is that the thing that I think it is? Is he going to be a major player in what's going to happen?
I see.
Because again, Marvel plans out like 5-10 years in advance. They can't just make a reference to it in Iron Man 2 and then in Avengers Endgame and not put it in as a much bigger sequence than in another movie that they're trying to do with Phase 4. Because in Phase 4, they're going to be doing all kinds of stuff left and right. So like, it's not unbeknownst to me that I think that they're going to do it again with Atlantis or Namor or something like that.
Because they also do it with Doctor Strange. They mention Doctor Strange and Captain America too before they get to him later on.
Yeah. I mean, they drop Easter eggs everywhere, so it's not unbeknownst that they're going to do Easter eggs of some sort for this character or this civilization or this thing that's going to become a movie or a TV show or something,
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand the theory.
Yeah.
Well justified, I think.
But I will totally swallow my pride and say they will probably be Abomination in the Cage, and maybe or maybe not there will be some sort of reference to Atlantis in this movie. Again, I'm not going to go speculating. I'm not going to try and do that.
No more of that.
I feel like it will be much better than it will be in Eternals or in Black Panther 2 that they'll appear. But for right now, I'll just be like, maybe not. I don't know. Because like again, you can't have an underwater dragon and not be like, how are you going to hide that? You can't hide that from humanity forever.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Well, I look forward to seeing the possibility.
Billy's not a gambling man. He's not going to go on a soapbox.
I'm a gambling man. No, I'm not. The only time I gamble is like when I know I'm going to win, so then it's not a gamble.
And you do not see this as a winning scenario.
Too many variables.
Hey, I'm not going to discredit that. Comic Book Land. That should be the title of this segment, Comic Book Land.
It is now. And you have to put like Comic Book Land with like a rainbow or something. Kind of like how SpongeBob when SpongeBob goes imagination.
That's exactly what I was doing. All right, let's see. I have 5 here today, Billy.
Ooh.
5 books. Yeah.
It's a big haul in.
A big haul. Yeah. Some of these were not. They were not part of the same day. I will tell you. Some of these were part of actually like there are sets that are like part of different days. Like this was all within the same week, but this was not on the same day that I got all these comic books.
Okay. So, do you usually get your comic books on one day, or?
I usually do it in one day, but this time I got it within a week time. So I did it like one day, and then I went and got another one another day, another one another day. So like, it's different.
Why the change?
It's an addiction, man. I'm addicted. It's fun.
That's so funny.
You'll understand, Billy.
Maybe one day.
So you remember how last week I had shown you the Daredevil books, right?
Yeah. Yes. The
So
ones from your friend, right? For your birthday? From
not for
Anthony.
my birthday, but it's just like a general gift.
Oh, for graduation, right? That's what it was.
No, just general
Was
gift.
it a general gift? Oh, I thought it was for something.
Because it was like a cumulative gift that I had given him so many things over the last like year or so that like
Ah,
he had to get me back with this one big thing.
I see.
Yeah. So there's one book that I didn't actually get to show you
Mhm.
that I should have shown you, but I didn't. That's part of the same collection.
Okay.
It's kind of obvious that it should have been. It's Daredevil #1 from that series.
That's a cool. From what do you mind tilting it back slightly? I can see
Hold
my face and I don't want
on.
it. That's a pretty cool cover.
Yeah. So this is the first Marvel Knights titled book. Marvel Knights was created as kind of like this deeper, darker kind of version of Marvel Comics
Okay.
back in the 90s and early 2000s. So this is the first one of those. The first Kevin Smith work in comics as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you think Daredevil will make his way into the MCU?
There's been rumors that he could be in Spider-Man No Way Home, so it's not unheard of.
Okay. We'll see.
We'll see. And it's
Again,
gonna
before
be
I
like the Netflix version of Daredevil, not just like any schlub off the street. Like it's gonna be that version of Daredevil that's gonna be in there. But
Oh,
that's
then I
more
need
like,
to see it.
yeah, there's like speculation around that. And by the way, that's not like canon or anything. Like none of the Netflix shows are like canon of like Marvel or anything. But like,
The same actor or something like that.
yeah, same actor, kind of like the same thing with like X-Men
Okay.
in WandaVision. Yeah, not talking about that. Don't talk about that. Don't go on that soapbox.
And on to comic book number 2.
So this is Power Man number 48. So a very famous team up in comic books and Marvel comic books is Power Man, who is also known as Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, which is this guy.
Mhm.
And there's a comic book actually called Power Man and Iron Fist. And this book is just Power Man, but it's number 48, which is the first time that Iron Fist teams up with Power Man.
Interesting. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's a minor little key, you know, because like it goes off into being Power Man and Iron Fist, but it's like the first team up, you kind of want to have that book. It's kind of significant.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
There used to be a TV show, um, Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
which had both of those on the same team as Spider-Man, and it
Yeah,
had Nova, White Claw. Wait, what was her name?
it's probably White Claw.
Claw. What was a girl?
Oh,
Um, hmm. And then Spider-Man was later. I'm gonna look it up really quick. That's gonna bug me. Nova, White Tiger, Power Man, and Iron
White
Fist.
Tiger. That's who it is. Okay. Yep,
That's what it
I was
is.
wrong. It was White Tiger. Okay.
White
Okay.
Tiger, yeah.
Yeah. So
And
that's
then,
who's in the Shang-Chi movie.
oh, that's who it was. Okay.
Yeah. I was like White Claw. I don't think that's right, but I'm gonna go with it. And it's like no, it's White Tiger.
Okay. Well, you can always put like a little thing above it. Like,
Well, I'll just put this part in.
that's true. Okay. Okay. Yep. So yeah, that's it. Spider-Man is the leader. Peter Parker, Ultimate Spider-Man. Yep. Okay. I like that series. Drake Bell was a good Peter Parker.
Hmm.
Okay, continue.
Diverted.
I divert us so many times.
It's fine. So the only DC book that I have in this pile that I have today is Batman number 258. This is the first appearance of the Arkham Asylum, which is first called the Arkham Hospital in this book, but later gets renamed to Arkham Asylum in 260, which I also have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Very old school artwork, it looks like.
Yeah. So this is also a square bound book, which is like a thicker spine than a normal comic book does, which has just like it's basically like paper like flattened. This one's a has much more paper, much more pages, so it has a thicker spine. So this is what's called a this. I just literally forgot
Is
it.
it like a magazine?
kind of like a magazine. It's thicker, so and it's also like more condensed, so it's not like you can have it as a magazine format. It's also a different type of paper since it's from like the 70s, I believe. So it's a different type of cardstock that needed to be used, and they have a square bound spine,
Okay.
especially for like annuals and stuff. And this happened from like 256 to 260 for Batman. They had like these big like 3-story arcs for Batman. So they had to do much more paper, and they had to just put it into a square bound type of book.
Is it 100 pages long?
It is.
I wonder where I got that.
Right at the top.
Don't give it away.
A usual comic book is probably like 30, 35 pages.
Oh,
usually.
really? I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. So it's quite big. It's quite a significant bigness.
It's about 3 times as long.
Yeah.
It's the three storylines.
Right, exactly. But this book is actually a very expensive book in a very high condition, high grade.
That's good.
When I just found this in one of the bins at the comic book store that I went to, and it was for like $25, and I'm like, heck yeah, I've never found this book before, and it's a really cool cover, and it's a really cool book, so I'll take it for $25 for this lower condition book. This is Iron Fist #1.
Ooh, that is a really nice cover.
So it's the first titled series for Iron Fist. It goes up against Iron Man, which is a classic cover.
Iron is iron.
I like that there's this here, Terry Martin's book. So, Terry, if you're out there, I have your book.
You should Google it, see if you can find him on Facebook or something.
Oh, there's probably a lot of Terry Martins out there, so I'm not gonna
send him a bunch of DMs.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
Makes it unique.
I've never been able to find before, so I found it just like part of the Iron Fist run that they had in one of the comic book bins, and it was $25. I was like, heck yeah.
That's pretty cool. Do you know why they're fighting?
Probably because sometimes it's kind of like, how in the Avengers, like, Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man were fighting each other because they're kind of like, they're not allied together. It's kind of the same thing with this book. Like, they're fighting because they don't know that they're like allies. They're like, something's happening where Iron Man is trying to go after somebody, and then Iron Fist is trying to go after the same person. Now they're fighting because they're trying to go over the same goal or whatever. So
I see.
Yeah.
They don't realize they're on the same side.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
But I'm very happy to have that because I never found that before, and I still have not found that one before, and I'm really happy about that.
That's a nice one. That's a nice cover.
Interesting
story too. Seems like.
Yeah. All right, Billy. This is the big one here.
It's the big one. This big boy.
It's not gonna be like next week because next week is a big boy. But this one's a big boy.
Bigger than last week? Close.
I don't know. I don't remember exactly what I considered the big boy last week.
Last week I think was the Doctor Strange one, right?
Oh, it's not on that level, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not on that level. But it has to do with the MCU.
Okay.
It has to do with a recent character that we have seen before.
Okay.
And I'm just going to read to you right now.
Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man annual number 16. This is the first appearance of Monica Rambeau.
Interesting. I would not have guessed the first appearance would have been in a Spider-Man.
Yeah, an Amazing Spider-Man annual 16. So she's considered Captain Marvel in this book. But then she goes later on to be named Photon and Spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like her being the second Captain Marvel, basically.
Interesting. Because the original Captain Marvel, do they do it the same way in the comic books where Captain Marvel leaves Earth? So then she kind of takes up the.
So Captain Marvel is a guy in the comics.
Oh, that's right. That's true. He is a guy in the comics.
And then we have Carol Danvers, who becomes Miss Marvel. But then Captain Marvel, the dude, passes on the mantle to Monica Rambeau, who becomes the second Captain Marvel.
Interesting. It's completely different.
But it's really important because like she's called Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers is called Captain Marvel. We're going to have a Miss Marvel. later on in the TV show. So this book is going to have a lot of room to grow. Right now, it's a pretty hot book right now. It's going to grow a little bit more once the movie comes out, I would assume.
I bet.
And this has been a
Just a
hard book
wee
to
bit more.
find.
I'm sorry?
This has been a hard book to find because, like, obviously these things are either flying off the shelves or people are just hoarding them close to their chest because they want to make sure that they're able to keep this.
Is this one that you've been actively looking for? Or something like it?
Not actively looking for, like, I've seen like 1 or 2 copies before. I've just never felt the need to get it. But then I'm kind of like, like, I'm trying to build my Amazing Spider-Man run. Not really a run, but like my collection of like key issues from Spider-Man. So I'm like,
Yeah.
since this is a Spider-Man annual and I would want to have this in the collection, it's a key, I'm like, I should get it, you know?
Kind of get what's the saying? Gets 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Get
That's
it while
pretty
you
cool.
can right now because it's gonna probably just grow in price anyway. So before it's out of reach, just to be able to get it.
Yeah, probably. So that's a good get.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good haul today.
Yeah. See you again, the lingo. You said
I'm-
haul like that.
Oh yeah. Slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm. But next week, I will not preview anything, but next week I feel like it's gonna be a big one. A big boy.
I look forward to it.
Happy boy.
You can't just say things like that and then not tell me what they are.
I'm ending my segment on a cliffhanger, Billy, just like they did for Loki episode 3. I'm gonna hang off the cliff for this one.
Okay, I guess I have to deal with it. I can only handle 1 cliffhanger at a time.
I know.
This is 2. It's killing me.
I mean, I don't think that Loki's gonna be killing you. I think that I'm gonna be killing you with what I'm gonna show you.
I can't wait to see it. We'll have to do it at the beginning of the episode. We'll have to reverse it.
No, Loki comes first because probably Loki's gonna be more talked about than my comic books. So.
Well, we can record it first and then cut it to the end.
No, that's
You have
also
to do
not
it in order.
It's gonna be in order. We're gonna
Okay.
stick to what we're doing.
Okay.
You're not gonna cheat your way out of this.
Okay. I'm gonna make my discussion points like episode was good. On to
Show me the
book. Exactly. I have to
Do
get my
you have
mind off of
anything
it.
to show, Billy? I know we usually never have anything planned for you because you always have to think of something on the fly. Do you have something to show for us, Billy?
I actually do have something. So yeah, you've already seen it, and anyone who follows me on social media has seen it. I didn't post it to the Nerdy Wordy account. I posted it to my personal account, so it's a little bit different. So it is. So there's this person out there who's named Robin Dreek. I call him my Jedi Master, and he's got a long what's the word I'm looking for?
Dick!
Resume. That's the word. He has a long resume.
That's gonna be such a bad edit.
Yeah, I know.
Just you ended it with long and it's like pause. I'm like,
Let me just start over.
Nope, we're keeping it.
Well, he has a long resume, and some of the things on it include a Naval Academy graduate. He was a captain in the Marines. He was in the FBI, and more specifically, he was in counterintelligence, so he worked with spies. And then he was the head of the behavior analysis program at the FBI. And now he has written 3 books, and that's one of them. And he is now a keynote speaker, I believe, or speaker of some sort. And he also has courses and stuff on his website. So I am a big fan of him. This is one of my favorite books ever. And I've read all 3 of his books, and I took one of his courses, and he ended up sending me very, very kindly one of his company. Oh, he also runs his own company right now. How could I not mention that? A challenge coin. I actually have to, let me move the piece of paper so I can see myself, so I can see if the video, you actually get a good look at it. Which way is it? This way. So his company's called the People Formula, and this is the challenge coin.
Interesting.
For it. So this, I think, is very cool, and I've been carrying it with me since I got it.
Hmm.
And the meaning behind it is interesting because the whole point of the people formula and all the books and stuff that he writes, the code of trust, for example, is being how to be worthy of trust, and it's just an interesting concept. It's just basically trying to make the world a better place, and I like that.
Hmm.
I recommend the books if anyone wants them. So they're called it's not about me. This one's a smaller book, and he self-published it. So it's not all about me. The top 10, or it's like I think it's the top 10 or just 10 techniques to build rapid rapport.
Hmm.
Then there's the code of trust, which the subtitle is An American Counterintelligence Expert's 5 Rules to Lead and Succeed. And then there's his third book, which is I always say it wrong. It's Size Me Up. It's Sizing People Up. So this one is about um, being able to predict other people's behavior, which is interesting. So, can you trust them? So, the first one is like building rapport. And then from rapport, you want to build a trusting relationship, which comes this one. Then after that, it's how do you know that you can trust the other people and can you predict their behavior? So, it's a nice progression. And I think he said he's planning on doing another one. I'm not quite sure, but maybe
Hmm.
we should cut that out just in case it doesn't do another one. But challenge coin is very cool.
I like that.
That's my thing.
Cool. I like that. I like all the insignias on the back. Those are
Oh
really
yeah, yeah. I was very excited when I got it.
cool. This is so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool, and it's nice and hefty and stuff, so
Hmm.
very awesome.
I'm gonna bring this full circle, and I'm gonna show my own coin.
Is this I'm
No,
not gonna
don't say it.
spoil it.
Don't say it. It's this coin right here.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was gonna be.
It's
I
the
thought it was
Albert
gonna be the
Einstein
in-game
coin.
coin. That's the Albert Einstein coin.
Yeah, bringing this
That's
full
cool.
circle back to our discussion from the
Of the
beginning of the
Einstein.
podcast. Yeah.
Well, is this I see E equals MC squared.
Hmm.
Um,
So let me
is
read off what I can be able to show you. So like
okay.
E equals MC squared is in the rectangle.
Mhm.
You have like a DNA, which of course that's what he did for a living.
Mhm.
There's like the oh,
You have
what's
the
it called?
equation?
Quadratic formula.
Oh, interesting.
You have the pressure formula. Then you have it looks like a factorial, I believe. Um, let's see, there's a like a slope of a graph on there.
Interesting.
Looks like there's a derivative, maybe. Um, there's a relativistic momentum equation on there.
Mhm.
Several different formulas. I
Interesting.
like that they put the DNA there mostly because like it's not even close to what he did.
Yeah.
DNA was not even discovered during Albert Einstein's main time as of working. I think it was discovered either before, like right before or after his death in the 1950s was DNA discovered.
Interesting.
So
Well, whoever
it's
designed
time.
yeah, whoever designed it wasn't necessarily a physicist, probably, but they made a
No.
good effort. So
The back actually shows a lot more of how this person didn't know. So let's see if we can get the light. So you can see a picture of Albert Einstein in full color, and you can see like an impression of him. There's E equals MC squared on the bottom.
mm,
But you can't see the engravings, but the engravings on where E equals MC squared and Einstein's thing are, there's a lot of like benzene rings and molecular structures, which is
interesting.
similar to what he did with like Brownian motion, but not exact.
Interesting.
There's like a chemical flask, when you use in the chemistry lab, you can pour stuff in. That's in there, which again, not what he did. Um,
They should have put like the warp space time picture with like Earth and stuff like that.
yeah,
I don't
there's
know
like
if
a
that was
tiny,
even like that's like such like a generic general relativity picture
right,
nowadays. Like I wonder how long it took to get like that kind of picture
yeah.
just because the
Um,
standard way to explain it.
there seems to be like an exponential on here. There's like a drip of H2O, which of course water is exactly what he discovered.
Yeah,
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah,
That is a very cool coin. Have you ever taken it out, or is it like uh permanently gonna stay in between those two?
Billy, you have to understand in the collecting world, you never take things out like this. You never do.
Touche.
Um, I think what's funny is that like the only thing that really is relevant with regards to Einstein, at least on like this side without the picture on there, is the relativistic momentum equation.
Isn't E equals
That's
MC squared on that side too?
yeah, which of
Besides
course
that
is the
one.
most famous one, but like the relativistic momentum equation is like the most related to his work.
He has so many equations.
Yeah, I
Like
mean
they
at
could have
least
put
put like the
photoelectric effect.
we'll like put the one I can't recite it off the top of my head, but it starts with like 8 pi something something something. You know that one?
Oh, Einstein's field equations, like it's like
Yes,
8
that one.
pi
Thank you.
g mu nu or r mu nu or t mu nu.
Right. I was like losing what the term was called, but that's what that is. At least put like that there, and I'll be like, okay, that makes sense. But like you're putting like DNA and like test tubes and everything, like it's like sciencey.
To be fair, most people who get that coin or who have that coin
Mhm.
don't study physics.
No, they only
So
know like he's a scientist. He did stuff.
yeah, I mean he can be the spokesperson for all the sciences, right? Which I
I
think
guess so.
could be the point of the coin.
Mhm.
Just get people excited in science,
Yeah,
which we need to do.
which we have done already.
One can only hope. If we inspired one person out there to not necessarily either pursue science as a career,
Mhm.
but look, if one person out there Googled one scientific thing after watching us, either to try and correct us or to actually just learn about it, I consider that a win. One person out there.
Who is Einstein?
Oh,
What did
that's
he do? So, Billy, do you want to do the final word now?
I mean, my final word is just I want to see how they get off the planet. I want to see Mobius get a jet ski, and I want
That's
to
it.
see if Loki completes his love metaphor.
To
What is
define love.
love? Baby, don't hurt me. You know what song I'm referencing?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I'm
good.
not like you, where I'm not like a popular culture like hiding under a rock. I don't know shit. Like I
Oh,
know what you're talking about.
I just want to make sure, just in case I was just like
Yeah.
moderately singing something, and then you had no idea what I was saying.
Am I singing a song right now? Is this song real?
Well, there's been many a times where someone's been singing a song, and because I'm unaware of it, it's just like, are you making up lyrics or are you singing something? And it's always funny. Anyway, what's your final word? Because I think you have a much better one.
Well, so you gave me an inspiration, Billy, just now about like, ask a little question about, science and give an answer to explain it. So I'll give a question and you can give an answer and I can give an answer and it's probably gonna be the same answer. But
Mhm.
um
Do you want to answer it today, or do we want to like wait a week and answer it?
no,
Give
we
people
answer it
time.
now. People are not gonna because people if we ask the question now and people are just gonna be like, well, I can just Google that, blah 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 blah. Instead, we let's do two experts who know it right now.
One expert and one person in a blue room. I don't know why I did air quotes on a blue room. It is a blue room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Hit me with the question. I hope I have an answer.
all right. The question is, why is the sky blue?
Is that just planned, or was that like was
That
that
was
just
a
a coincidence?
coincidence.
That's awesome. Because my room's blue.
Yeah.
Duh. No, I'm kidding.
Every light that emanates in the sky that's blue is from Billy's room.
If I
One
painted
little
my room yellow, the sky would be yellow. If I painted it green, it would be green.
exactly. For all of human history, it would have always been yellow.
Exactly. Done. See you next week, people. No, I'm kidding. Um, but Do I give the explanation first?
Yeah, go
Or do you
ahead.
want to go first?
You do it.
I do it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I could give you the generic thing and say it's Rayleigh scattering.
Yes.
Actually, it's either... I heard somewhere that it's actually not Rayleigh scattering. It's a form of scattering that's very close to Rayleigh scattering, but I'm not sure. I think the
Mm,
generic way to explain it is just Rayleigh scattering.
yeah.
So go Google that, and we'll see you next. No, I'm kidding. Um, so it's basically, let's see, how do I explain this?
I'll explain it. How about that?
Do you want to explain it? Yeah, I haven't thought about this in so long.
Yeah. Um, so radio scattering is basically you have a photon of light, which is this little packet of light, and it enters through the atmosphere and it
Mhm,
interacts with the molecules of oxygen and nitrogen and everything else in the atmosphere.
mhm,
And a lot of the time, the light will be absorbed by the atoms in the atmosphere.
mhm,
And what happens is that that light will be emitted back and be scattered around.
mhm,
And most of the time, it's going to be blue light because that's how much energy the photons will have that will interact with these atoms and then will release this light. Because most of the other colors of the rainbow, of the visible light, will be absorbed by the atom. The one that won't be is the strongest one, which will be the blue light and the violet light, and that will be scattered out
mhm,
as the atoms of the molecules will have their electrons go from one energy state to a lower energy state um, to emit that light. Because what happens is that the light hits the electron and will increase the energy level of that electron, so it'll have a higher energy. And of
mhm,
course, it doesn't want to stay there. It wants to go back to that lower energy. So what happens is it goes back to that lower energy, and then it emits a little bit of light, and that light will be blue light, and that's basically what Rayleigh scattering is.
excellent. Um, can I add one thing? It's not adding one thing, I guess.
Mm,
Um, so exactly. So I would say just, um, why does it only absorb blue light? And because the way electrons are organized and the way the universe likes to be is because energy levels are quantized. So only specific amounts of energy can be absorbed by specific atoms
mm-hmm,
and elements. And in this case, it just happens to be that it's the energy associated with blue
mm-hmm,
and other, like blue, purple, and around that spectrum or that area. And also when it scatters, so the light's coming all in from one direction because the sun is in one direction.
mm-hmm.
One Direction, the band. So all the light's coming in from one direction, and it gets scattered because when I got an O from the board, so I can use it as an atom. So the electron gets excited inside the atom, and then it gets another photon gets released, but it gets released in a random direction. So it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily come in and then go out the same direction. Comes in and then it gets shot off randomly in any direction, which is what you meant by scattered.
Yep.
So goes off uh, because it's random and it happens everywhere. We just say it's like scattering it. It's kind of,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, let's go so that way we can fight. And that I'm kidding.
Well,
And then like the
it's
error message comes up and it's like, we will be back shortly.
please stand by.
Yeah, please stand by. And like
Oh,
WandaVision.
we have to now go and fight. So if you can, please hit the subscribe button so that way you will keep seeing our content if we don't kill
Bye
each
bye.
other. Uh, hit the like button if you like this video, which I hope you do. Please subscribe to our Instagram, which is the Nerdy Wordy Podcast. It's so easy to find. It's the same icon as our YouTube.
I think we
And
can link it in the description, right?
I'll try. I'll
Okay.
try.
We'll keep you posted.
And as always, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy, everyone.